It's not making for the children. It's making for the algorithm. And that's the huge problem for me.
Welcome to Raising Questions, an honest conversation about parenting in the digital age. I'm Mikey.
And I'm Dee, and we're co-founders of Mevi, a kids streaming platform aimed at less but better screen time.
And I'm Koen, and to make sure that Mevi is grounded in expert knowledge, I go out and speak to experts.
And who did you speak to this time, Koen?
I spoke with Danny Joe LaBrecque, who is the artist behind Danny Joe's Treehouse, which is a kids show set in a treehouse, and it has music and stories and puppets. And Danny Joe is the host. He himself describes the show as if a classic TV show from the past, like Mr. Rogers, would travel to the present to support kids understanding themselves, but also understanding the world around them. But maybe let me just show you a short clip of the show so you can have an idea of the look and feel.
Ask lots of questions, find different answers. Best way to learn is play. So can you come out and play? It's a really great day. Danny Joe is calling you.
Oh, that's super cute. I can't wait to hear more of the conversation.
All right, let's start at the beginning. I started with asking Danny Joe about the origin of the show, which is about 25 years ago.
I started when I was teaching in the preschool classroom. I was a rookie educator. I'd been teaching for about 5 years, and I was looking at what my preschool students were seeing on their screens at that time, in the early aughts, and I was a bit disheartened. I saw lots of cartoons, and I saw lots of kid-like adult characters, lots of clown-like characters, and those are great. Those are fun, and they have worth, and I enjoy them. But I was concerned that we weren't seeing the guides, the mentors, the teachers on the other side of the screen, the people that showed up every day and shared affirmation and truly reflected the social moment and prepared children and empowered children and their grown-ups for those types of challenges. I wasn't seeing that at that time. Also, I was seeing that my students at the time in Chicago were having the regular age and stage challenges that all children have, but they were also experiencing much more complex social issues, first and secondary experiences with gun violence, different forms of abuse, racism, discrimination, religious bias, so many big things that we don't associate with young children, but absolutely impact young children. So I wanted to offer something not only in the classroom, but something through these evolving screens to empower kids with critical thinking for themselves and with empathy for others as they kept growing.
I know that you're using puppets and live performance. How does that compare to, for example, animations? Is there a certain power to puppets?
I think so. I've got my teddy bear here. I'm going to pull out my childhood teddy bear, and you'll see it. You'll see what I'm talking about. So when I became a preschool teacher, I was a rookie at the time. It was, again, early aughts, and it was bring your teddy to school day. So the teachers brought their teddies too, and I brought my little guy, and I brought him out of the box, and that was one of the first moments that I said, "How do you think Teddy's feeling today?" And it wasn't as intentional. Like I just paused, and I was just looking and waiting, and I wasn't rushing. I wasn't putting words in the kids' mouths. I just waited. And if you just stare at a teddy bear's face for a while, and if I start to look, something really pretty magical that's based in science starts to happen. You, the viewer or the audience, you're projecting what you think this bear might be feeling like. And if I look in a certain way and I I project without saying anything. My humanity is projected. And now we've got a communication tool happening, and it's a nonverbal relationship. And I haven't done anything yet, you know? And then if you start telling me, how do you think Teddy feels? Like, Koen, how do you think Teddy feels today? There's no wrong answer. It's totally open-ended. No, wait. Before you skip, I literally want to know, how do you, sir, think my teddy bear feels today? When you look at him, what emotion do you see on this bear's face right now?
I see melancholy.
I see melancholy? Oh, and then we can take some time to explore melancholy. What does that mean? You know, and we can really play with it. And now something starts to happen there, even with grown-ups, you know, and the observer of our experience that we just had. We could dig in a lot deeper if we took our time. That's a different type of power than just an animated thing that does a lot of the work for you. There can be a moment for a grown-up to be like, I don't know. I don't want to look silly. I don't want maybe be vulnerable, but Rogers called it the seemingly simple stuff. It's so deep and complex if we allow it in. And cartoons can get there, but this is my favorite approach.
Why did you choose a treehouse as the stage?
It's very personal to me. So back in New Hampshire and upstate New York area, my grandfather, Lawrence Russell, was a lumberjack, and he was a hunter. He would hunt for deer and bear and, you know, game, different type of game. Big guy, and he always wore plaid shirts, and he would often wear bow ties when he was fancy. And he had deer spots. I don't know if that's what you call it where you live, but essentially up in the trees there were little tiny platforms, sometimes closed in, for hunting. You would look for the deer and shoot from up there. And my grandfather would teach the grandchildren how to hunt. That was part of the tradition. And little Danny Joe did not want to do that at all. I liked going up there, but I didn't want to kill anything. I didn't like that at all. And he said, well, we don't have to hunt. This can just be your treehouse. So we would go up there and we would sit and we would talk, and it was just one-on-one time. And I loved it to have that quiet. It was always early in the morning, you know, and he would talk about, you know, if you really listened, you could see what was going on in nature, you know. And he didn't talk about meditation. He wasn't that type of a guy, but it very, very much was meditative. And in fact, my tattoo here, I'm one of the few kids show hosts with a visible tattoo. This is from a photo of the woods outside of where he lives. And on this side is the treehouse, which is our logo, and I've made our set to look like that. The deer spot was not as fancy as this. It evolved, but I wanted to create a space that felt familiar. I think kids of all ages love the idea of having a treehouse, and also the undivided attention of an adult it's really important to have that type of affirmation, and not just telling you what to be, how to act, but just being present. Everybody wants that. Every age and stage wants that. So that's where Danny Joe's Treehouse came from.
Was he, your grandfather, a role model for you and a teacher?
He really was. Yeah, he was inventive. He built his own home. He built his own camper out of wood. You know, like he was a really creative, fun guy, and he always took the time to show you how he was making things. We would help him sand things when we were little, and as we got older, he would introduce tools. But yeah, huge role model for me.
What's the most important value that you got from him?
That it was never, I'm the adult, you're the kid, you do what I tell you to do. This is how you're going to exist in this world. I like hunting, you're going to like hunting. You know, I chop wood, you're going to chop wood. It was, how do you feel about this? What do you like? You know, speak up for yourself. He used to do that a lot because I was very quiet. I was always very quiet. So he would lean in, make the eye contact, and say, "Speak up for yourself. No one's going to know what you think if you don't tell them." That sort of, and not in a scary way, but a very matter of fact sort of way. So he taught me that what that role of the adult can be to a child, that it's a guide. It's not a dictator. It's I'm here with you. I've been down this path, and if you're not careful, you're going to trip here. So I'm going to tell you, it's right around the corner. Go ahead. I'm right behind you. That sort of thing. There are a lot of lessons there.
I was wondering if you keep parents in mind when you develop these shows.
Yes, it is. It is also a children's show for grown-ups. Absolutely. We average about 100 or so emails per week from parents and teachers all over the place, telling us about their experiences with our episodes. And I'm often surprised by how our episodes are received by families, and how it, in many cases, it's just a starting point for families to dig into a deeper conversation. Sometimes they're Googling, how am I going to explain media literacy? How am I going to explain gun violence? How am I going to explain what protesting is? All of these big issues. And we touch on everything. So the relationship with the parent, the teacher, the caregiver, it's truly crucial.
Maybe with the rise of streaming platforms, there's been a real shift where now most kids' content out there is made only to entertain and to captivate these kids.
What I observe and have observed is, and I think I'm gonna be very specific with the world of YouTube. YouTube, it's a conditioning platform. It conditions the users, whether they're adults or children, to stay on it. Short duration episodes are pushed out a lot. Stimulation tactics are used to hold attention. Big heads, big eyes, high pitched voices, quick cuts, the flashy colors. We've all seen it. It's not making for the children. It's making for the algorithm. And that's the huge problem for me. Artists are conditioned to not think of themselves as artists or storytellers or child advocates. We are content creators. Like we're in a factory, just turning out the content to feed the algorithm, because if we keep feeding it, we will become more successful at a superficial level. We'll be able to get more views, more likes, more engagement. But to do that, one of the best ways to do that is to make stuff that appeases the algorithm. Everything starts to look the same. So yeah, I have a lot of concerns with YouTube in general. It was explained to me once as a red sea, meaning that you're in the ocean and there are all these different fish, and there are sharks and other predator fish, and they're eating each other, and the waters have become bloody, gross, and you can't see through to get to the good stuff. So you attempt to make blue seas where there's less stuff, YouTube Kids, so it's a little easier to see the higher quality stuff. But the same issues are starting to occur, and we're seeing AI invading that, and ultimately it's all still looking the same. So instead of red seas, instead of blue seas that are really just becoming pink seas at best, I think what we need to start doing, instead of thinking big and huge and you're only successful if you have 1 billion viewers and all that, we need little ponds. We need to go back to the days of the local kids show host. Clear, still ponds. I think that's what Mevi is going to offer. I don't think there's going to be an overwhelming amount of choice. There's variety. I know there's going to be really great variety. I know you are setting the bar high for the type of storytellers that are coming in, and there will be natural limits on how long children will engage and parents can engage with the platform instead of it being designed to keep you on. Stay with us, stay with us, stay with us, so we can sneak in more commercials and more advertising and conditioning and propaganda. That's not what Meaty's about.
So obviously now with AI, people are making kid shows within a second. What do you think? What do you think about that?
It is like a weed in the world of YouTube and YouTube Kids, and it's very difficult to pull out. I don't know if you can tell or not. I don't care for it. AI in that world, I think, is dangerous. I think people very quickly figured out, oh, I'll just type in what's the most popular kids show right now, the Cocomelons of the world. What's trending right now, and maybe also if I put in a little shock. Just this past week, every once in a while, I check in on YouTube Kids to see what's floating up to the top. It was, people will know what I'm talking about if they've seen it, a variation of a Cocomelon-like show in look and feel, and a baby that is toddling around who is teething. A tooth is coming in, right? And the baby's biting it, and the baby's crawling from person to person and biting people, biting the babysitter, biting other children, and people are really scared. It's just animation, but when the bite happens, the skin gets really red and the person's shaking. To an older child, maybe there's some distance of it. A much older person won't really care, but for a young kid, those sort of things are really impactful. So that's such a low, soft version of the extreme stuff that we're starting to see. So the YouTube Kid algorithm, the YouTube Kids staff, who are lovely people. I've met them and I know them, and they're good human beings. They really are, and they're trying so hard to rein things in. But this stuff still comes in, and I know as an educator, it is not developmentally appropriate for young children, and we can't just keep experimenting with kids like they're guinea pigs to see what we can get away with and what parents are finally going to push back on. We have to take responsibility. Adults have to take responsibility.
I think you said earlier you see yourself as a teacher, but you're also a creative. You're also an artist. How do those two relate? How do they overlap?
Every teacher I know is an artist, and every artist I know is a teacher. It's about being a communicator. I see those worlds coming together really well. The moment when I started teaching, it was an aha moment for me. For college, I went to the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. As an artist, as a working artist in Chicago, I was essentially a song and dance man doing musicals. Every 3 months, you panic and try to find the next job so you can, pay your rent. And I needed a day job, and I didn't want to be a server anymore. And I saw there was an opportunity to work at a local preschool and doing art project stuff. And they paid for me to take some basic early childhood education classes during that time. And I was introduced into that world, and I fell in love with it. It combined everything that I loved. It combined the singing and the dancing and play and art and talking about emotions.
To wrap up, Danny, I wanted to ask you maybe the question that's been guiding this whole conversation, at least for me. What does it take to create meaningful kids media?
It takes individuals, whether on the creation side of the screen or the receiving side of the screen, to slow down and truly listen to one another's needs. It's about listening. It's about truly listening.
I can't help feeling that the world, especially now, needs more content that's made with empathy and, dare I say, humanity, like the work you're making. Thank you very much for talking to me, taking the time.
Thank you, Koen.
And I hope people will have learned something and
I hope so
be
too.
inspired. Thanks again.
All right. Yeah, I love that, Koen. I think really great to hear his voice. And if you want to watch his show, of course, you can watch it on YouTube, but you're also going to be able to watch it on Mivi.
And if you want to learn more about Mivi, head to our website, mivi.com, where you can be part of the Mivi family.
And I will be back here to speak to more experts. But for now, thanks for your attention and have a nice day.